we look back on the role that social media sites like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat have played in our national 2016 presidential election, it would be easy to spend most of our time examining Donald Trump's effect on these media, particularly Twitter. It's been well documented that Trump may very well have been the most combative online presence of any candidate for president in modern history. To be clear, we're not claiming that Trump won because he was better at social media. Twitter skills alone do not determine political outcomes. But understanding social media certainly is helpful, if not essential, in assessing the 2016 presidential election. The only way to understand how social media has become a prevalent voice of political information, we must look back into past elections to understand the behavioral and technological change of political information in America. A great place to start is the United States presidential election of 1960 between the late President John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. The audience of over 74 million people tuning into this debate chose what the greatest technology could offer them: visuals. It wasn't what Kennedy said about his running mate that gained him his publicity, but rather his own integrity and confidence, so exposure time and the right poise were crucial. While they compared themselves to their opponents, they never insulted or belittled each other. Both candidates spoke and centered their focus on what they wanted to do to improve the country, and not on the worthiness of their opponent. Kennedy won the presidency based on the first debate, as he appeared confident and kind.
I think Mr. Nixon is an effective leader of his party. I hope he would grant me the same. The question before us...
I can only say that my experience is there for the people to consider. Senator Kennedy's is there for the people to consider.
It's really good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take
property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How
A
tough
lot
is
of
it?
times.
The values of the 60s have drastically changed compared to the modern era. Today's technology and social media allows a constant platform for post-debate opinions and comments that can be viewed and shared through the masses at any time and anywhere. The values of the United States and the persona of Americans are reflected through our political leaders and the way they choose to behave in the spotlight, and mostly who can acquire the most buzz, good or bad. During the 2016 presidential election, Hillary, Trump, and dozens of the other potential candidates present themselves as shrill, petty, and overly dramatic over social media in the spotlight. According to CNN, the internet will be a primary way many Americans interact with the debate, so if no one is tweeting, Facebooking, or Googling about your candidate in the hours and days after the debate, you fail to move the needle. Trump himself has identified Facebook as a key element in helping him secure victory. The president-elect specified that social networks helped him win without needing to spend as much as the Clinton campaign on other advertising.
In terms of numbers with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc., I think it helped me win all of these races where they're spending much more money than I spent. And I won. I think that social media has more power than the money they spent, and I think maybe to a certain extent I proved that.
In the last month of the election alone, Clinton spent nearly twice as much money compared to Trump. According to Bloomberg, she increased her spending by about 86%, approximately $30 million. In addition, the primary donors for Clinton in the election cycle in total spent about $103 million, while primary Trump donors spent about $37 million in the same span. Does social media really have enough power to affect an election, even more so than millions of dollars in advertising? In the context of widespread distrust of mass media, while many voters tune out political TV advertising, social media engagement by candidates and campaigns has risen to new prominence in politics. Overall, online interest in candidate Trump was 3 times higher than Clinton, according to Google Trends analysis. Trump was the most Googled candidate and also most mentioned on Twitter and Facebook. Trump also had 4 million more Twitter followers than Clinton. Meanwhile, the public's trust in mass media dropped to its lowest level in Gallup polling history. Fewer than 1 in 3 Americans have confidence in the media to report the news fully, accurately, and fairly. Among Republicans, trust in media is lower than the norm. A third, approximately 35%, of 18 to 29-year-olds name a social networking site as their most helpful source type for learning about the presidential election, according to Pew Research Center. Social media is the only platform where bad publicity is just as influential as good publicity. Regardless, people are paying attention. In such an entertainment-consuming era, social networking sites made a huge impact in the longest election on record. The simplicity of a tweet, post, or status will become greater in power and will require far more responsibility in light of future elections to come.